What is this?
Because apparently that's pro-Jewish people, according to Bill Ackman. I would argue that continuing to tie Jewish identity to the Zionist project only furthers anti-Semitism. Now, I don't know if Ackman's ready to have that conversation, but at the very least, you should be, if you're a liberal Zionist watching this, and apparently there are a few well-known liberal Zionists that watch this program, one in particular. If you are still out there and you're basically saying that people who are anti-Zionist are anti-Semitic, look at how one of the most public, well-financed by himself Zionists out there is defending the guy who praised and Hitler's generals because of his defense of Israel. That's a DC letter carrier. Why would Ethan talk to Sam about an issue he has with Hasan? Ethan even said Sam wouldn't agree with Hasan's takes. Well, he doesn't know Sam.
He's coming at us too. Like, he's clearly got a bee in his bonnet, and he should talk to Sam about it. And also, Sam basically agreed with Hasan's perspective without, I mean, he didn't really dive into what he saw, but I've seen enough of Hasan to know that there's no real degree of difference here. And the people...
Like, even if that conversation takes place and the most, like, disingenuous framing is applied in that situation... I'm pretty sure Sam is, you know, someone who is very aware of how, like, things can be framed, especially when you are at odds with the rest of American society in terms of foreign policy. So, you know, I have not talked to Sam at all beyond the fact that I was like, I think it'd be cool if you could talk to Ethan about this sort of stuff. Like, I never said anything like more than that.
Accusing Hasan of being are fucking losers and should be ashamed of themselves.
Agreed. Chris Burdick said...
It's funny, you can have... There's certain people that could have Sam on, but they'd rather take screenshots of our YouTube chat. It's coward behavior, I would say.
I had the flu since Friday, so I did just see, that Ethan Klein has included me in his attacks on Hasan. I will say that, you know, if you don't want to have a conversation, if you think, you know, I'm an anti-Semite or whatever, or Hasan is, we're not. I shouldn't have to say that.
I mean, it's stupid. I mean, go fuck yourself.
But he can have a conversation with Sam Cedar. I mean, Sam is a proud Jewish man, proud of his Jewish heritage.
Go ahead, call Sam an anti-Semite or soft on. See how that goes for you, Ethan.
I mean, unless he's too afraid.
And I mean, there's other streamers we don't need to name, but I mean, a lot of people having freakouts because they've shown their ass for a year.
Yep.
It's a gamer channel. This is one of those gamers that I hear about.
There's some gamers losing their minds. Yeah, a lot of weird, a lot of people moving in very strange ways.
I know.
It's interesting.
And again, like, I have maybe an old school media diet, so I don't follow some of this Twitch stuff. I only really follow Hasan and Vosh to a lesser extent because I'm friendly with both of them, and so I know their work from being friendly with both of them. But when I see this other stuff crop up, I'm like, Jesus, like, where did this come from? But apparently, I guess there's been some issue with
I've seen
Ethan.
some pretty gross comments out of a lot of different mouths that if people want to dig up stuff, racist bigotry and stuff like that, even Jewish groups, we can have this deep conversation about bigotry. Let's welcome this, folks.
Well, you actually listened to two people you just mentioned who are like in that world, but are in that world for, you know, weird reasons, because they actually are knowledgeable about the issues and actually do the work and talk about things that they know about. Talking about, you know, someone like a Hasan or a Vosh, like whatever you think of them personally, they clearly do the work and know what they're talking about and are very educated on the subjects they're talking about. The other people we're talking about, it's the same sort of.
I haven't seen a Vosh mission in a long time.
The thing I was talking about earlier, when you have these people who don't know very much and bloviate about things. I mean, it's no surprise that so many of the people from the gaming world who made all their fame from playing World of Warcraft or some shit like that, all of a sudden over the past year or so, or a couple of years, all of a sudden they're all of a sudden political experts and talking about this stuff. Like they've been, you know, all of a sudden that's how they gained their fan base. No, they are doing the same thing they did with when they were streamers for video games or whatever. They're creating as much controversy and drama as possible because all they care about is views. That's what it comes down to. That's what it comes down to. There's no other way around it, because that's that whole industry. You see it for all these guys.
And I think, Binder, to your point, there's clearly some sort of, I don't know, lately it's difficult to build up an audience, I think, if you don't already have an established platform. We're in a very like calcified environment, consolidated market on the internet. And
he's far gone at this point. He posted a screenshot of a vile anti-Semitic comment and said those comments are allowed on your sub or Discord. That person doesn't even follow you on Twitter. So just like anti-Semitism existing in the periphery is also my fault. What is this? I put it in mod chat earlier. He's a Jew. He's a rat by nature from this random guy. I would never, even in a million years, remotely allow this kind of sentiment to be expressed in my community. Oh, these people are such pathetic liars. I watched his response through its entirety. I didn't mix or cut anything. I turned comments off because mobs of lunatics brigade anti-Semitic comments like he's a Jew, he's a rat by nature. You can't write that in Hasan's subreddit or Discord. You can write that in Hasan's subreddit or Discord. The craziest part about this is that like anyone could technically go into my Discord or my subreddit and write something like that, and you can snap it before it gets moderated. Like, that's insane. The point is it allowed or not? Of course it's not allowed. This person, who the is this person that said this? This person doesn't even follow me. I'm responsible for random online now? Like, when did this happen? And there are Nazis who follow me too. They're hate watchers. They're hate followers. It's deranged. Here's the full context of that screenshot. Acid check the full history. OP tells him to off. Get the out of here with that shit. Be nice to your fellow Hasan fan. Like, yeah, these people are deeply unserious, dude. That's so fucking stupid. He's like, what are we doing? What the fuck is going on? Like, what's the end game in all this is a great question. Like, I don't understand it. Does Ethan think that like this is going to magically make people not think that he is like doing all of this by centering himself in an ongoing act of genocide, that people are going to be like, you know what? You're right. Like, you're right. You were right all along. I actually no longer think what Israel is doing is unconscionable. Like, I don't understand. I tried to explain to him so many times. Like, I don't know. He wants to get you banned. Yeah, but this is so stupid. This is not going to, this is ridiculous. It's especially ridiculous because he knows personally how much these communities have come after me as much as they've come after him. Like, at what planet is someone whose name is Hasan, who is anti-American imperialism, Nazi, anti-Semitism, well-liked by fucking neo-Nazis? Like, what are we talking about? It's intentional at this point, brother man. Might need to reassess how you move forward with this if he's willing to set aside all common ground y'all built. I don't know. I hope that eventually he will just like quiet down on this stuff. You need to extend charitability to you're extending too much charitability to Ethan. He's deliberately taking this out of context. No, I think that the charitability I extend to Ethan in this situation is that as someone, Ethan, a prominent Jewish person in America, he has received a fuck ton of anti-Semitic attacks throughout his entire career. And I'm certain that they increased after October 7th. Okay? For sure. I think that has caused him to lump up a lot of the other people that listen to his output and assume that he is, pro-Israel or not sufficiently anti-Israel, that are making up their own minds when he's crashing out like this into believing that these people are all doing this from an anti-Semitic framework and lumping real anti-Semitism with people who are in his own fan base thinking, Ethan, your hyper-focus on this aspect of this conflict after 12 months makes me reconsider your position. Perhaps you are not actually anti-Israel. Maybe you are pro-Israel. That's what's going on. And I tried to communicate this to him early on. I was like, if you say certain things like, oh, if you're gay in Gaza, good luck, you're going to get killed. like, yeah, people are going to assume that you're pro-Israel. Like, it's not going to change. The only thing that's going to happen is some of your mega fans are going to despise me, and that's fine, right? And you will cultivate yet another very toxic community that I don't think he appreciated when he had one. People fail to realize that you will not weaponize his own fallout against him. He's doing all the work by himself. I'm not interested in that because I feel like it's wholesale unproductive and stupid. But like, yeah, the point is when people that are uninitiated, okay, random people online see random points that might even be clipped out of context, okay? When people turn around and say, Hasan, you're anti-Semitic, what do? Okay? I respond to it. I tell them that it is not correct. I show them that it is not correct. Okay? And then I move on. There have been people who think that I'm not sufficiently pro-Palestine, but that does not change my output because I am an anti-Zionist and I am not anti-Semitic. If people are like, oh, dude, it seems like you're like defending Israel this way, by centering the conversation around yourself, by like attacking people who are pro-Palestine and like falsely smearing them as like anti-Semitic terror supporters or whatever. Yeah, of course more and more people are going to start assuming that maybe you are pro-Israel. That is like, of course that's going to happen. I think that ultimately this level, like this warpath is not going to be successful because it's not true. And I think people can see that it's not true. Some people in his fan base that are like super fans might literally believe him and go, yeah, it's really fucked up. Hasan is a really bad guy, even though I've defended him time and time again. But ultimately, more and more people will be like, okay, dude, the fuck? Yeah, I mean, this is one of the many different instances where I've described this. There is real anti-Semitism. There is actually a sense of marginalization that is valid. There is actually a genuine impact of anti-Semitism that is a canary for fascist ideology. So when that gets diluted with anti-Zionism in a very nefarious cycle that tries to associate all of the actions of Israel with Judaism, you are literally, without recognizing, telling people something that is objectively false, okay? Just like Saudi Arabia and its actions have nothing to do with Islam, okay? Or the rest of the Muslim world, Israel's actions have nothing to do with Judaism or anything to do with that. It is a state, right? It is a state built around an ethno and religious supremacist ideology that is built on top of an area where there are millions of indigenous people and tens of millions that have been displaced already. But with anti-Semitism, anyway, I respect you for being charitable after all this shit. Respect, brother. There's a couple reasons for that. Some of the reasons is because like I think that every single person is never too far gone and that you can change their minds. I've known this person for a very long time. I still do think that's why I keep saying still keep saying like just talk to Sam Cedar. He is a person that you respect, not because like, and privately, not because I think that you know, like it's going to be an epic own. If I was in the business of epic ownage, like I would just debate Ethan personally. You know what I mean? That's never been my concern. That's never been my consideration. Like it's not like I'm somehow scared of the secret truths that he has unearthed. Like, what do you mean? It's just like the same fucking smears I have heard a million times over. This is not about debating. If I didn't think that this was salvageable, if I didn't think that Ethan could have a change of heart on this issue, I wouldn't even suggest talking to Sam Cedar offline. And it very clearly, demonstrably did not work. So I think someone else with lived experience could be better equipped and someone that he does respect, because I don't think he respects me, could do a better job.
I think a lot of YouTube channels or Twitch channels or other, they're getting notes from algorithmic like experts about how debate and conflict is actually like the biggest driver of views right now. You know, I used to work and look at some of those analyses, and you have to change your coverage based on that kind of stuff to get more views. And I think a lot of channels are following suit. We all have to make money. I get it. But I think what I like about what our show does is that we are a consistent product. And I think it also creates less volatility, because when you're constantly chasing, like, this is what this consultant or this person on this platform is telling you is doing the best for numbers right now, then that's going to change the next year. And then you have to change your value proposition or what you're providing for people in the next year. I would rather just do the same show the same way. I mean, adjust accordingly to an extent, but I do think like people should be aware that right now, my hunch from seeing on the outside is that there's a lot of data telling these
No, extending shareability is pure malpractice on your part at this point, and you know, especially since he's out there smearing people close to the community, i.e. Frogan. Dog, the fuck are you talking about? He's been calling me a fucking apologist and trying to get me banned for the past couple of weeks now. The fuck are you saying? It's not just about Frogan either. It's me as well. Like, what do you mean malpractice? Let me do my fucking thing, okay?
YouTube channels that debate and disagreement is driving a lot of views and money for people.
Well, that's because they can't do what we do. They can't do like a torts conference show or have Mark Joseph Stern. None of them want to do this like deep. I mean, I'm just looking through our recent shows, and it's just like all things that none of these people want to fucking do.
Yeah.
Like it's like our first half. None of these people have the depth for it. And so
Ethan does not believe his opinions are wrong or colored by his bias at all. He's not trying to learn or grow. I know, but that's why I'm saying that a person like Sam Cedar could potentially convince him otherwise. Okay. And in terms of like apologia, I've addressed this a million times over as well. I have never once said that there was convincingly no rapes that occurred on October 7. As a matter of fact, I've said quite the opposite. I've said the exact opposite of that. My criticism over this is the weaponization, which is an ancient, old, colonial, old school tactic. The barbarian savages that broke through the gates specifically to rape, and mass rape occurred, directed by Hamas, was not something that was proved to be true. Okay? The most famous reporting on this matter came from the New York Times, which New York Times journalists themselves have said did not meet the standard of their regular reporting. New York Times even fucking went so far as to suspend the main reporter on that. You just denied the rape? What? No, I didn't. And not only, no, I'm not denying it at all. I'm saying that there was a very high likelihood that it occurred. As far as conclusive evidence has yielded so far in the UN report, the only parts that were original reporting from the UN report that everybody is pointing to, which is another thing that I covered, there was one clear firsthand account accusation from a victim. This was not conducted on October 7, but instead, this was when this person was a hostage. Now, my analysis on the matter does not change. Even if there was multiple rapes that took place on October 7, I still don't believe that Israel is allowed to just, as a belligerent occupier, destroy Gaza. This does not change anything for me in this dynamic. And I have directly called out many of the atrocities that took place on October 7, okay? While also framing it within an understanding of how the colonial entity always sets the standard for violence. Like, I have described the steps that took place over the course of 76 years of apartheid and how the Palestinian resistance got there. And time again, I have repeated that analysis is not justification. I think they legitimately don't know what atrocity propaganda is at all. They said you think no happened because you criticized atrocity propaganda like the 50 decapitated babies thing. Yeah. There are a lot of clip chimps of you saying no happen when the full context is you explaining no systematic happen. That's, yeah, I suspect that that's what's going on. So no matter how careful I am in the way my position, it still doesn't matter because someone can just like clip it and shorten my statement in bad faith, and others will be primed into believing this. So at a certain point, yeah, this becomes completely unproductive. This becomes completely unproductive to address. This isn't about being careful. This is about getting you banned and deplatformed. It's that simple. The truth has never mattered. I know, which is why I laughed at the other statement from last night. Primed on LSF, brigaded into oblivion. Ethan was sitting next to you when you said a lot of the stuff. It wasn't clip chimp for him. What do you mean? Oh, when we last had a conversation, he heard the context. Is this you saying he's being bad faith, or are you saying that he's correct? I'm confused. What are the odds that you actually get banned? I don't know. Probably not that high, but yeah, on H3 about the rape. What? Yeah. And people are like, oh, at what point is your friendship irredeemable? This is not about my friendship at all, dude. I just want I don't want another very large progressive content creator to fall down a right-wing rabbit hole on this issue. Okay? That's it. He's saying Ethan's being bad faith. You talked about the rapes versus systemic rape with him in person. Yeah, he literally talked to you about this exact topic and decided now months later that he's mad because he saw clips. Yeah. The point is, I don't think he's going to turn around like a big chunk of his audience from seeing this issue in a different way. That's it.
It is just like policing other people's chats and just debased behavior like that.
But what you're talking about exactly speaks to the longevity of what we do and other people like us do. Like, you can see that we're like I'm talking about the majority report as a whole and other streamers who have been doing this for as long as we have in the news and politics world. There's longevity here because we know what we're
Kyle
talking about.
Kalinsky's another example.
Isn't he the one who denied the idea of rapes? No, that's not fair. He literally apologized for that. Like, his first response was to question it, but you know, he did it. He recognized it. So I don't think that that's correct. When we had that conversation, I don't know what his current position is, but back when we had that conversation, he literally did do that. And Ethan's lack of charitability to me in the way that I afford to him right now does not change my behavior. I'm not going to stop myself from doing what I do and doing it in exactly the way that I do it. I'm going to conduct myself in the way that I do. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to continue being honest. It doesn't matter. Let's get back to undecided voters, and you can get back to deciding how to avoid the top of the hour ad break by subscribing.